People sell out every day. You might as well be on the winning team, or something to this effect. It's a quote that many of us conspiracy theorists, if you will, have heard. And that is an example of philosophy, a harmful philosophy, spiritually, sociologically, and what have you. Psychology used to be a branch of philosophy. Psychology led to psychiatry. What we have here are a bunch of philosophical imperialists. If you don't adapt one of their philosophies, then you will be targeted one way or another. Everyone knows that psychiatry is a pseudoscience based on theories, the same way that psychology is. It's funny how biological psychology, psychiatry and behavioral psychology have become the main forms of these respective pseudosciences. It's very sad. You will hear the quote-unquote experts saying that people such as myself don't know what we are talking about. The truth is that nobody knows what they are talking about, and that is our point. You stupid fucking imperialist filth. They're cultural and philosophical imperialists. And they don't even have the courage or the bravery to come out and tell you what they are doing and why. Because what they are doing is so reprehensible that they simply will not do it. They know that it would be brought to a halt if they did it that way, because nobody would want to tolerate such fallacies. So where are we left now? After I thoroughly debunked them, after 83,000 brain scans and the people who took them have debunked them, where do we stand now? They're still trying to force medicate people covertly, using aerosol sprays and liquid forms, and in some extreme cases, even shots. Where do we stand now? They have no excuse for their treachery. Their betrayal knows no bounds. So where do we stand now? Western philosophy has been a thorn in the side of humanity for thousands of years. What you see all throughout history is Greeks, Romans going out of their way to record things. Even during Islam's golden age, there was Greek, Roman, European scribes recording things and adding notes. And to this day, people do not understand that the majority of psychology comes from Egypt and the Middle East. This is a form of media control, if you will. It's a form of presenting to the masses a controlled narrative, a selected narrative, a Eurocentric narrative. As you see in the news, could you not describe the media as Eurocentric? They are looking at things from a point of view of white social norms, white mainstream social norms. It is impossible to study the Great Conspiracy as a scholar and not come to the conclusion that this has to do with Western philosophy, Greek philosophy, French philosophy, such as Descartes and the quote-unquote psychologists who really developed a pseudoscience to enforce Western philosophy. Now I say to you this: if any person is not completely brain dead or dramatically mentally retarded, then you have no right to force medicate them under any circumstances. Lock them away if you can prove beyond any reasonable doubt that they have committed a crime that deserves incarceration. Fine. Execute them if their crime is so appalling and so horrendous that you may as well just get to the point and take their life instead of deny them the right to live their life. Fine. But to drug them and put them back into society is not only setting the precedent for the most extreme, radical, ultra-philosophical imperialism, but is also ungodly, inhumane, immoral, unethical, unscrupulous, and evil. So I tell you now that white people who enforce white social norms, whether they try to do it nicely, like a therapist, a martial arts instructor, an arts teacher, what have you, are my enemy. Whether they try to enforce it by force, like the military, the police, they are my enemy. Whether they try to bribe me into promoting their point of view or blackmail me, they are my enemy. I tell you now that Western philosophy is sacrilegious when you look at the very essence of the word. It is blasphemous. It is immoral. It is selfish. It is self-centered, Eurocentric. So why do you see people insisting on drugging people such as myself covertly? Well, you can also argue this covertly, because they're trying to convert me to the side of the wicked, to those who came up with a demonic philosophy in caves and became pale as a result. They want to convert me into the realm of thinking of a bunch of barbaric Caucasoids. Now, Caucasoid is actually the scientific term for a lot of these white people. Better get your facts straight before you call me the racist. There's degrees of racism, and we all racist to a certain degree. Some of us mildly racist. Some of us are cultural imperialists that drug people covertly until they accept white social norms and push them and promote them and live, breathe, and think them. That is biological racism. That is philosophical imperialism. And the biggest offenders come from the West. Western philosophical imperialists are the main problem that plagues the world, and the hypocrisy therein. Oh, these people are killing people. We kill more people in the West. These people rape people. We rape more people in the West. Are you going to say these people are thieves and extortionists? We rob and extort more people in the West. Look at the pillage of African resources. The Middle East, setting up puppet governments. Our way or the highway. This is what, quote unquote, Western ideas of freedom and liberty entail. They entail you do it our way, or we drug you until you do. Oh, you believe in your religion? Well, we call that fundamentalism. We're going to give you a pill for it. Or you can't function in a Western society because your lack of accepting and being assimilated by Western philosophy and Western cultural imperialism. We got a pill for that too. Oh, you're going to go as far as to advocate the only way to solve the problem? We got a high dose of pills for that as well. Western philosophical imperialism. Meaning, the Western philosophy is being forced on you by a bunch of imperialists. What is culture but not a result of philosophy? What is religion other than divinely inspired philosophy? What is psychology if not a branch of philosophy that turned into experiments? Experiments on white rats and dogs. Because to them, you are a rat or a dog. Either you are a loyal beast or you are a sniveling, snitching, tattletaling, So why not do the experiments on these animals, these savage beasts? Because we can domesticate the beast, but they're still beasts. Western philosophical imperialism. Remember that phrase, because once you know it, everything is painfully apparent. Why do they gang stalk? Why MK Ultra? Why all these behavioral psychology experiments? Why the Milgram experiment? Why the Zimbardo experiment? What is the point? Why big pharmaceutical clinical trials? If somebody doesn't come to you and say that I am absolutely hopeless, let me try your devil pills, you have no right to use coercion and covert methods. Sneaky, manipulative, divisive, conniving methods to get them drugged up. What does that make you? But the lowest form of filth, especially when you preach about freedom and liberty at the same time as the main reason you go after Islam, which has proven beyond any doubt that its system has created a more fair, crime-free version of society and living and community existence than the West has. What are you but the lowest form of filth? The biggest criminals. You have corporatized criminality. You have put a white collar on criminality. You have manufactured widespread criminality. Your factory criminality comes to an end. No matter how you look at it. You eventually pass away, and then what? What then? The atheists and agnostics who say, give me proof, give me proof. It's so sad that you cannot see the proof, and it takes until you die before you have your proof, but I'm not going to get into that. We all have heard of Socrates and James, and pragmatism, Plato, Aristotle, Alexander the Great, Hippocrates, the Hippocratic Oath, being a hypocrite, Hermes, and on and on. All these E's. But how many of you have heard of African philosophers? Not many? None? As if they never existed. Why? Because this is Western philosophical imperialism. When are you going to wake up and smell the coffee? Of course, they're starting to incorporate Eastern philosophy. Most people have heard of Sun Tzu. They're starting to incorporate it. Why? It's part of their New World Order agenda. And they start touching on global religions because they know that even you dumbed down sheep are not stupid enough to completely live in a state of stupidity with all the advent of the internet and social media. And you say, well, why don't they include my culture? They're like, well, we have something for that too. We are going to whitewash and present a westernized view. You know, what happens when a bunch of Western colonists went around the world taking notes? This is what their religion. The white people are going to tell you about your religion. They're going to tell you the lessons of it. And if that doesn't work, they're going to get the whitewashed in your respective ethnic groups to tell you it on their behalf. Because this, my friends, make no mistake, is Western philosophical imperialism, and it is disgusting.